Alright, we are back on Joker Part 4. Now, let me say now that I didn't want to do a Part 4. Alright? I didn't want to do it. Unless you had some hardball questions. And it seems as though you brought some hardball questions to the game. Very personal questions. And this may get to me. I understand this is very personal today for me because um, some of the questions that you've asked, you're going to find out a lot about me probably. Um, and I'm okay with that because over the years and years, a lot of you have said, Event, you do these videos, but you never tell us about your personal life and stuff like that. And so I'm okay for it, you know. But you gave me 10 good questions. That's all I needed was 10 good questions. So let's get started. Let me say now that the people who ask these questions, I will keep completely anonymous because they're not in the comment sections. These are people who actually had legit questions that I think that we need to address. Okay? So let's get started, shall we? Let's get started. And like I said, after this we start Endgame. Alright? This is a good segue to Endgame, to be honest. So first question, because I wanted to write these down and get these right. You know what I mean? I'm not going to put them up on the screen. Do you think there's a lot of quiet suffering in Joker? I think anybody who has any type of mental illness deals with a lot of quiet suffering. Whether they sit at home, whether they sit in bed, whether they sit in a corner, they sit on their couch, they sitting, even in society, sitting on a step or whatever. I think there's a lot of quiet suffering. I think there's a lot of people where you get 1,000 thoughts per second in your head and you don't know how to deal with it. You know what I mean? I think it happens a lot. So for me, I think because we only get an X amount of time to see how Arthur reacts and what he goes through, you still have to put yourself in the shoes of how this happens all the time, every breathing second for years. That's the entire point of it, I feel. So yeah, I think there's a lot of quiet suffering on his end, and then he starts to lash out. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen to everybody. I think it happens to a lot more people than you think. That's number one. So yeah, quiet suffering, it happens. I've gone through a lot of quiet suffering. I do. They expect a lot of us for some reason, especially, and I hate to bring up the gender thing, but we see it all the time on Twitter. They expect us men to stay quiet and just man up and not say nothing. But as soon as men don't open up their feelings. All right, we open up, then we're called weak. We stay quiet when we suffer, and we're supposed to be strong. We're supposed to deal with everything. Not every, people. I don't do people not understand that everybody, no matter man, woman, whatever you identify as, attack helicopter, I don't care what you identify as. All right, the fact is, we're all still human. We're not robots. All right, we suffer. We deal with a lot of pain. And unless you have somebody that knows how to understand you and knows how to control you, and I hate to say control as in a bad way, I'm saying for the good, knows how to bring the best out of you, this is going to keep happening. Next question. Why are people so rude when they say things? This is a good question. Here's the thing, when people get rude and they say things, people get upset and they get quiet. And that tells me two things. There's a sign of immaturity and there's a sign of disconnection. Alright? If somebody says something rude to you, okay, so why'd you say it? You heard it even in the movie. Well, I don't know why people are being so rude to me. I don't know why you can't show me some decency. It's direct. Why can't you be direct with somebody? Why would you be quiet and say, okay, I'm going to ignore that? Or I'm going to ignore that person. I'm not going to talk to that person for the rest of the day or the week or the month or the year or whatever. Address it. You would think at least the person who said something mean, you think, okay, why did I say that? But you can't think about you don't know what that person is thinking. So you have to. It's up to you to come out and address it if you care enough. All right. It happens to all of us. All of us. All right. We're all guilty of it too. Like I said before, there's saints, no saints out here. We're not all Virgin Marys and everything. We all do it. All right. So yeah, rudeness is a part. People being awful is a part. We say bad things to each other. Sometimes out of anger, it happens. But you have to start asking yourself, if a person says something to me rude, why did they say that? And that question has never been asked. It's just, I'm just willing to ignore it. And that's where immaturity comes in from, if you ask me. Next question. Do people in companies really care? No. They don't. You notice I answered that really quickly. No, they don't. If you have gone to try to get any type of help, all right, you will understand, and we talked about this slightly in the comment section. There's times where companies will not accept certain, insurance. They won't. Even if your policy says it does, they won't. All right? Do you know that sometimes starting fees, when it comes to going to try and go talk to somebody, they charge you at start? This is not the base. At start. It's your starter's fee. Is that $400? Yeah. We're not talking about getting into weeks and weeks of sessions, which will cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. So hope you got a friend that all of a sudden has it, or you find a better, someone that you can consult with. Now, of course, you can always go into group sessions, group therapies, things of that nature. But I'll tell you by now, personal experience, I have been through group therapy, all right? And it just made me feel worse. It made me feel horrible. I'm sitting here next to a guy who is shaking, and I'm telling you now, without my medication, and I want to bring this up, all right? I remember after I did part 3, Curious Doom reached out to me. He texted me personally, all right? Texted me, my phone number. He texted me and was like, dude, are you okay? He was like, you look high. You look like you've been through it. I said, it's just the medication, because the doctor upped my medication because of everything I'm going through. So for me to still be able to do these videos and carry on, it goes to show you how much sacrifice I put in for this. I was like, it's just part, it's part of it. It happens. I'm fine. I'll be fine. And another person, Cody, came to me and was like, dude, if you ever need somewhere to stay, you can always come here for a while to get away from it all. These are people who are from Texas and from New York. I got friends that live 2 blocks away from me and never offered me that. You know what I mean? This is what I mean. Do people care? I think there's some who do, but a lot of them don't. I've had people tell me, Vint, you're the best. You are the greatest. And that's what they said. You're the best. You're the greatest. Whether I've been around you or I'm with you, you're the best. You're the greatest. And you know what? They're the first people that stick the knife right in your back. Do people care? Does the system care? No, they don't. They're trying to get their money. They don't care about you. Again, like the therapist said, they don't care about you. They don't care about me. They'll let you descend into madness. They don't care. So no, I really don't think people care much. If they do care, I'll put it like this. If you care that much, I retweeted not too long ago on Twitter, I think it was Alana Pierce who said it. If you care about people, then you do things. Saying you care about somebody and doing something, actions speak louder than words. You care about someone, pick up a phone and call them. Call them. Call them. I'm not trying to hear, oh, I'm going to just text them. Or I talked to a friend who find out about you. No. Why don't you come and talk to me? If you care so damn much about me, come talk to me. I don't think a lot of people care. And I think it's the thing. You also have to look at the flip side of things too. You don't want to burden a lot of people because they got their own lives, they have their own problems, they have their own families. You don't want to go but so far. You can't throw your problems onto other people. But if other people are willing to accept what you are or how you are, and they say they're going to be there for you, then fucking be there. Let's go to the next question, shall we? Alright, come on. Does talking it out help? It depends on the individual. I said I was going to talk about another person not too long ago. I was in group therapy. Listening to this man's story about how he caught his wife cheating on him. I mean, like, kicked in the door, cell phone camera, taking pictures in the middle of the act. They went to court. He lost the house, he lost the kids, he lost the car. She got everything. He went crazy, he lost his job. He now lives in an efficiency apartment. It was hard for him just to sit in a circle next to a woman. And I'm looking at him like, that just made me sad. That made me feel worse. You know? That made me feel horrible. We all know that life isn't fair. We know that. But it's very tough out there. People are very rude. They're very awful. And when you see things like that, sometimes talking it out just doesn't help. It doesn't. It may help for somebody else, but it's not going to help for everybody. So it is up to you, the individual, to seek out and see if it's going to work for you. As we know in the movie, it didn't help for Joker, but it may work for someone else. Now, we'll move on to the next one. Does distraction work? I think to an extent, but I think distraction is dangerous. I think distraction devoids you of life. I think distraction does exactly what it does. It distracts you from any type of tragedy that you have been through. You bury yourself in whatever work or hobby that you do, and you say, eventually in time, it'll pass. But what you're failing to realize is that you're missing out on life. That's what you're missing out on. So yeah, distraction is good. And a good example, I'll give you a great fucking example. I will go and suit up, and I will go and do jujitsu, or I will go and box. And those endorphins go up, and guess what? I'm not thinking about anything else going on. But when it's over, I have to ask myself, what do I do now? Because now I'm back in that hole. And when I'm back in that hole, I don't mean home. I mean here. I'm back in that hole. So what I have to do to distract myself? Watch a movie. Play video games. Do whatever. I gotta have 1,000 different things to get me to stop thinking about things. That's ridiculous. I shouldn't have to do that. I should be able to be free and go live life. There has to be some downtime. And for me, it feels like I said, again, your thoughts are coming 1,000 times a second. There's no downtime. So you keep going harder. You keep pushing farther. You keep going more extreme. You keep doing all these different things. And you keep thinking, yeah, I'm succeeding. But eventually, you're almost like you're just covering up. You're masking your problems. It becomes dangerous. And eventually you're going to get to the point where it's like, okay, where did it get me? Because at the end of the day, if you stop, you still have to think to yourself, was this worth it? I still have this tragedy that's going on in me, and it hasn't been addressed because I've been doing 1,000 different things, either at work or at hobbying or whatever. So it's still there. It's still lies. You still have to confront it. I told you we're going to get personal today, man. Does medication help? The next question. Personally, I think that yes and no. Certain medications don't help. Certain medications do help. Medication I'm on right now keeps me very calm. I think if they gave me more on top of it, it probably would help. But even I know that if I took too little of my medication, it would not help. I would have to take more. As of late, I've had to double up and take medication. So when people ask me how my day was, I tell them, look, my day was shit. Why? Because that's exactly how it feels. I told you. You wake up in the morning, you automatically feel like shit. Even if nothing's happened to you, you feel like shit because that's your mentality. Negative thoughts. Constantly. I know some of you watch this video and say, oh, you need help, you need help. Look, I put it like this, alright? Like the one person said in the comment section, you identify with Arthur way too much and the fact that it may ruin your insanity. And I'm thinking to myself, I'll put it like this. If I'm insane, it has nothing to do with that fucking movie, I'll tell you that. People, society, this is what they'll do to you if you let them, if you open up to them. So yeah, I do feel a certain way about that. Does distraction work? No. Does medication work? Yes. But there's also some side effects to it as well, depending on the medication that you're taking. You know? So you have to be very careful on what you're taking, what dosage you're taking. Then that's a big thing. Make sure that you're taking the right dosage. Do not abuse your medicine. Alright? Do not. Do you trust people? Not many. Not many. Like I said before, people always talk about how they care. People always talk about how they're there for you. People always talk about how, you know, they think that you're the greatest and you're the best. People always talk about how much they, you know, how much they really want to be there for you. And then they go and do bullshit. And they know what you're going through. They know you're having a horrible day. They know that people are treating you like shit. Because you tell them. And they're just like, you know what? You know, it doesn't matter because they're going to go party. Or they're going to go do this. Like I said, everyone has their own lives. You know what I mean? And at points, don't get me wrong, you're going to get upset. Because, like, what the fuck? You know, you said you'd be there for me, and you're not there. I'll give you a good example. A good example. Old school Hulk. Right? Old school Hulk. Talking comics. You notice how every time he got angry, Betty was the one to be able to calm him down? That's what we're talking. People who know how to push your buttons. People who know how to get you triggered. People who know how to comfort you. How to give you warmth. But then those same people also, after a certain point, because they decide one day they wake up and they just want to be fucking abusive, and then they abuse you. And you only get one shot at that. So no, I don't trust a lot of people. I don't. To be very honest, I don't trust a lot of people. I think that 99.9% of people who say they care are full of shit. Are full of just hot air. Next question. Arthur's transformation and rebirth. Were you for it? I am not for someone turning into a psychopathic killer. However, again, we talked about it in the last video. He felt liberated. The dancing on the steps, that is a big signal of him feeling happy. You notice the entire time, a good amount of time, that's when he's smiling. That's when he's smiling the most. He's happy. He feels good. He's off his medication. We all already know that. But he feels good. He's dancing. When's the last time you saw Arthur dance? So yeah, it's a very important scene. And I don't give a shit we've seen as of late. People going over to the steps and taking pictures or whatever. None of that shit matters. Because if you're not understanding the scene and just saying, oh, it's just a scene, I'm just going to take pictures of it, and he's smoking a cigarette and doing all this. No. He's liberating himself. He's freeing himself from everything that has held him back for years. Like I said, not for the whole psychopathic killer thing, but I'm happy that he found himself. And that's the difference. It just so happens he was a psychopathic killer. That's the biggest problem. Now, the next one is a very tough question. All right. How do you find yourself? And this is a good segue to Endgame. It's like a maze. I've said this before. And it's hard to find. Sometimes there's blind spots. And people have taken so much from you. They've taken a piece of your soul. They've taken a piece of yourself. That's why when Captain America says, we lost friends, we lost family, we lost ourselves, we lost a piece of ourselves, that's true. We have. And sometimes you can't get that back. You can't. So how do we find ourselves? I can't answer that question. That is a question I truly can say I cannot answer. Because there's times I can't find myself. I'm here, but I'm actually not here. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. The lights are on, but no one's home. You're constantly searching. It's a journey. And sometimes that journey has to end. But it's all about learning. Whether win or lose, it's not about win or lose. It's about learning. So yeah, it's very tough to find yourself. Especially when you're going through a lot of stuff. Last question. Like I said, I was only going to do 10. Alright? Does apologizing help much in a tragic situation? No, it doesn't. Because the people who are apologizing, it's going to make it feel like they're doing it because they feel guilty. So they're doing it for themselves. It's not what they put you through. Because you're suffering every day. They're not going through what you go through every day. Gasping for air. Not understanding where you're supposed to go. What's right and wrong anymore. Things of that nature. And you have to hold it in. Because society will look at you like a fucking loon if not. The apologizing does nothing. You want to have a simple argument and you apologize. It's not a big deal. But something tragic that happens to you and they just want to offer their apology. No, you want them to fucking suffer just like you suffered. You want them to go through the same shit, if not more, than what others have. Than what you have. Know what you have. So no, apologizing does not help. I don't know if this was any type of help for anybody. I appreciate the questions. I appreciate the support. I appreciate some of you reaching out to me. I appreciate the fact that you took the time out to ask these questions due to the fact that this is something that was very important. I don't know if part 4 will go over as well as part 2 and 3, but at this point, it is what it is. I cannot answer certain questions because I myself do not have the answers. I'm still looking myself. I'm still searching myself. I am no sage, But we can lean on each other. We can sit here and say that we're not alone. But at the end of the day, you're still going to feel alone. You're still going to feel like, okay, yeah, I talked to this person for hours and hours and hours, and I still feel horrible. like I said, sometimes talking doesn't help. So I'm hoping that at the end of it all, that you do try and get some type of help. I don't care if you lean on a friend, talk to a professional, a family member, whoever's a friend, whoever's willing to listen and talk. And I mean really talk. Fuck the bullshit, fuck the schematics. Really sit down and talk. Maybe that will help. Maybe it won't. But it's a step in the right direction. Arthur descended into madness. And of course, the film glorifies it. Okay, whatever. That's fine. Whatever. That's what we came for. We came to see the Joker. All right, that's what we came for. But like I said, in reality, it doesn't work that way. And I think a lot of us still struggle. Like I said before, a lot of you have shown your strength that I personally do not have. And I congratulate you for it. I mean, some of you survived stage 4 cancer. I don't think I would ever be able to do that. I would just wither away. It's not self-guilt. It's not. But also remember, people who are left behind in certain tragedies like this always get the blame. So you have to make sure that you're not feeling, if you're feeling that way, you're not wrong to feel that way. Even if you know the other person's a piece of shit, you still feel that. Because that's real. It just sucks that it happens. It does. So if people really want to prove that they're there for you, my answer again is actions speak louder than words. You have to prove it. You have to really prove it. And if you're not willing to prove it, then why are you doing this? It's not a game. And nobody has time for that. Anyways, hopefully this is the end for Joker. I really wanted to end it part 3, but part 4, your questions were really good, and something tells me I didn't do a good job answering them, but it is what it is. So hopefully we can move on from here later this week. Endgame. I promise y'all I'll give y'all Endgame. We will start character by character, right? Because I'm not doing Infinity War. That's we already know that. No, Endgame. I'll talk to y'all then. Y'all be safe, and always remember, people, what I say before. That's life.